I think the biggest challenge from my perspective on this project was that in an effort to squeeze out all of the energy efficiency that we could, especially out of the heating and cooling system, we ended up with a variety of systems that in the end are a little bit complex. In the summer, we create cooling with a heat pump and a small chiller. In the winter, we do it with a cooling tower only and a thermal storage tank. And so there's a lot of different ways that we make heating and cooling in the building. And it did create a little bit of complexity. It's conceptually not very complex, but what it does create is a more complex control system. And control systems are in buildings not that complex when we compare it to something like a smartphone. But nonetheless, we have systems in buildings that need to be commissioned because the control systems typically don't work very well. So when you create a little bit of additional complexity in the control system, it's another area where something could go wrong.
The shakedown is the commissioning process, and so we are highly invested in the commissioning process because we too many times a building will even go through the commissioning process and there's still issues on the table that says this doesn't work, but you know what, we're done with commissioning, we're going to walk away. I have a hard time following that mantra. That'd be like buying a car with 10 things wrong with it as you drive it off the lot. That's just not acceptable. You know, you wouldn't drive that car off the lot. We hold a pretty hard hand on these are the systems, this is the way it's supposed to operate, test them and make sure that they do. And again, intricate systems because the heating and chill water systems and condenser water systems are connected. I mean, there's proper separation with heat exchangers and things like that so the systems don't mix, but there's an interaction between the heating hot water system and the chilled water system and the condenser water system. So trying to get that interaction to work, it's on paper as a design, it's in a sequence of operation, it's being put together now, but there are things that come up that we just hadn't anticipated. So some of those are design corrections that had to be addressed, contractor repair, and then put in place. Others are, you know, we talked with the controls contractor and the other contractors. This was the intent, but when they went to program it, the intent wasn't quite carried through. So now we're going back and saying, okay, we need to get it back to the right intent to make sure that it works. So it's an involved process, but it's actually, except for the beginning part of a project where you're actually conceptualizing how far can we go and what can we do with this building and how can it look, commissioning is the fun part of the project. I mean, it's stressful because everybody wants to move in, the contractors want to be off the job, but this is where does my design really work? And to see it actually work is so cool. And to see it actually go forward, especially when there were naysayers here and there saying, oh, you know, there's no way you can make that work. And the test runs and everybody signs off and you're like, yes, that's fantastic. So.
Actually, that's a really interesting one on Venter. We put in, so all the toilets are using the cistern water for toilet flushing. And the green roofs have to be irrigated, until they get stabilized. And there was the soil that they used in the green roofs had a lot of tannins in the soil. So we're irrigating the green roofs, and the few times it actually rained in San Diego, all that water went through this green roof system and really washed it out into the cistern tank. And then when you flush the toilets, it looks like a nice shade of diarrhea as it flushes out, because it's just perfect. There's nothing in it because it's filtered to, I think, 2 or 3 microns. It's absolutely clean, but it has the tannin in it, so it's this beautiful brown colored water that's opaque. And so we struggled with that for a while until they shut it off for a little while, and then we kind of cleaned it out, and then it's slowly getting not so brown. But it's those kinds of things. So the next time we do that, you just write into the spec, look, we got to flush, irrigation goes in, we got to spend 2 weeks flushing that through the system prior to occupancy, and the problem goes away. When it happens, on a project like this, it's a crisis because you've never done it. Nobody knows what to do because it's never happened before. And I was sending emails to all our other offices that have done green roofs and stormwater collection, and no one had really had that problem before because they hadn't tied the two together quite so closely as we did.
So we did training on, we set up mock workstations in our old facility. We talked a lot about energy efficiency and the goals we were trying to achieve and all that. But we honestly had no idea what the challenges were going to be when we actually walked into the building. So we've tried I would say in the first couple of weeks that we were here, I sent out emails on something or other about the building 3 times a week. Not every day, but 3 times a week, reporting on something or other that was not working as we thought, was getting back into shape, so on and so forth. So it is a challenge. We're still not, the bugs aren't worked out yet. It may take us another 6 months to really understand how we can use this building most effectively.